to continue down the NHL road a little bit, we're going to be talking about the 2025 International Tourney that was just recently announced. That is scheduled for February 2025, and it will be played between 4 teams. Doesn't that sound like a fun international tourney? The teams playing will be Canada, U.S., Finland, and Sweden. And a lot of people are very disappointed for, I think, fairly obvious reasons that I should not have to necessarily point out. And that's mostly because the headline's not great. Like, most headlines you would have read is NHL's 2025 international tourney will include 4 nations. That sounds lame. That sounds super lame. But, and it probably will be. But, I think that's because everybody's expectations is that it was going to be similar to the World Cup in 2016, which still wasn't great, or even the Olympics, where we'd see at least like 8 teams most years, I want to say. So it was still a lot more entertaining. And a lot of people just look at this 4-team thing and go like, what the hell? This is going to suck. And frankly, it's if you're looking at it, comparing it to those international competitions, you will be disappointed. But the thing is, the NHL isn't even comparing it to that, because they have labeled it. They obviously labeled it a global tourney and not the World Cup, which is why they pointed out the fact that in 2026 there will be the Winter Olympics, and then in 2027 they were planned to do another World Cup. I want to make sure to really emphasize on the difference between World Cup and international tourney in this case, because I guarantee you that the World Cup will have more than 4 teams, which I think is the important thing to look at here. I don't think that disappointment is the right way to necessarily look at it, because we are getting our first international competition since 2016. Let me be excited. It'll have been 9 years since the World Cup when this happens. Let's just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, because it's like there's a reason they're branding it differently, like you said. It's not going to be the World Cup. It's more of an exhibition than anything. It's a proof of concept. They're kind of going back in slowly but surely, and it kind of sucks that we're going to have to even wait another. I guess 2023 is coming to a close, but we're going to have to wait another like a year and a bit to get even the small exhibition format, which sucks, and is why I understand the frustration. But
And
I think it.
to even point out, a lot of the reason people get excited for these international competitions, especially like, think about it like this: people get excited because they think, imagine a line of McDavid, McKinnon, and Crosby. People talk about that stuff, right? For Canada, for the for America, you'd have Matthews, Kachuk, and I don't know who's another good American winger. I'm blanking. Goudreau, if he's still good at hockey.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
that's people like to
TBD on
think
that.
about. People, yeah, TBD on that. People like to talk about that stuff. You are going to still see that. It's just maybe not against as many different teams as you might have thought.
Yeah, and that's okay. And I think with those teams they picked for the international tourney, those are the 4 teams you'd expect to see in like a semifinals in the Olympics. If you told me the semifinals in the Olympics was Canada, Finland, U.S., Sweden, I'd be okay, that's pretty like chalky, you know? Like, those are probably the 4 best hockey nations in the world, excluding like, I don't know, Russia,
Excluding ones that are
or
currently
whatever you want to say
invading
about
another
that
country.
one. But I don't know. I think it's at least a good step in the right direction, because it is something that we've been waiting for a long time. And I think the more exciting part of the news is that they're actively working towards getting into the 2026 Olympics.
Yeah,
And
that is the
will
part
be
that has
the fun
been
part.
that was very buried. Because
Yeah, I didn't even know about that when you first brought up the story to me. I saw the headline and I read the article, and I didn't even know this part until you brought it up.
You had to go a little bit deeper, right? It is pretty crazy that that we live in a world where people are now, as somebody who can say that we live in the worst generation for international hockey. You have to realize how big international hockey was before the 2000s. I would say, or even hell, 2010. I'm sure, especially a lot of people in Canada, where were you during the golden goal, right? Like, think about it like that. Think about how big and how big that is, right? And go back even further to the, like, you can just, I believe it was 2002 Winter Olympics. I think the math is right
Salt
on
Lake
that.
City.
Salt Lake City. Like, that one was huge as well. It feels like the Olympics and international hockey died as Crosby put that, like,
Well,
goal in between.
even Sochi was pretty.
Sochi was pretty big, but it wasn't as big, like, in comparison.
I mean, it was the last one that we saw, but I still remember my dad waking me up at 3 a.m. to go watch the Canada-Sweden gold medal game. Like, that was still such a cool experience, even if it wasn't, like, iconic. Or even, like, I know it's not quite the same, and I know we're talking about NHL players, but there is something about international hockey that kind of brings you together. An example that I go to is even in the women's game, where I remember in 2014, for school, our teachers opened up the lunchroom to watch the Canada-US gold medal women's final, and it was an incredible game because those teams are so well matched, and it went back and forth, and it was an amazing game. And the teachers actually canceled class until the game was done. It was fantastic. Awesome. And then in the final minutes of the third period, we had to go to an in-school assembly. And we missed the end of the game in the overtime. And I've never been more mad about anything ever.
I don't blame you. That sucks.
I was seething at the little grade ones who are, like, singing on stage. It's like, fuck you, child. I need to go watch my hockey.
Throw an apple at him. Boo! Get off the stage! Little Timmy's confidence was never the same. Since a young Caleb Peterson took it all out on him. All his hockey
booed
rage.
Him off the stage.
Booed him off the stage. He never ever got up. Caleb ruined the singing career of some first grader.
Yeah, we had the next, like, Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson up there, and I just killed him.
Yeah. Killed all confidence ever. That guy now works in a McDonald's. So just dreaming of the day he can get it all back at Caleb Peterson. What a thought. But yeah, it's I mean, and even, like, look at IHF. Like, those games are so fun for a reason because there is just something so awesome about, like, international competition. Like, it really does bring people together in a completely different way. IHF, we obviously see it at a lower level, but it's still so cool. Like, I don't know, an example that I always think of whenever I think of this with IHF. I have two. I think of, like, how awesome it is, and you don't see this a lot in hockey anymore. But the year, and I can't remember the year for either of these examples, but I know they were fairly recent. The one year where Canada had, which song was it? They had a certain song as their goal song, and every time that team scored, the whole crowd sang it. Because they just had one song that everybody knew, and I can't remember the name of the song anymore. But I remember watching that year and going, like, they should just never change this song. It is the best thing ever. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. This is what, this is 20,000 people singing a song together after their team scores. That is awesome. And I mean, on another thing, when they played the outdoor game, Canada versus USA in Buffalo, where they had custom jerseys for both teams. Like, I think the American team had, led by Brady Tkachuk, I believe, had Buffalo Bill inspired jerseys. So you probably saw those at some point.
I don't remember those at all.
Really? Look it up. They're pretty cool. And I don't remember who their goalie was, but he is a guy who's in the NHL now. I think for the Canadian team, it might have been Carter Hart. And that game was awesome because it was one of those Winter Classic type games where it was freezing. You could tell the players killed it. It was such a cool game to watch. It was probably the best outdoor game I've ever seen. Like, it was so good.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it now. Those are so cool.
I don't remember I don't know if the Canadian team had custom jerseys too, but they were definitely outshined by the American jerseys.
They did not have custom jerseys. Those just looked like their normal road jerseys.
Yeah, but it was such a good game because it was freezing in Buffalo. Because think about when the IHF happens, or the, you know what I mean, World Juniors. It's usually around like December, January-ish. So it's like cold, 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 especially in Buffalo. Like that was such a good game to watch. Those are like two, and think about it like that. That's just juniors. Like I really miss being able to watch the best of the best get thrown at each other. And as much as a lot of people would go, it's the same argument as basketball where Canada would just dominate. They don't anymore. They absolutely don't.
No.
Like I think we're if we really start like getting back around to it, I would not be surprised to start seeing like similar competitions to what we would have seen between the I don't know, Soviets, is that the right word? The Russian teams back in the 70s and 80s specifically that would just destroy Canada. Like those Russian teams, the rumors you hear about them still to this day make it sound like they're the best hockey team ever assembled. They just couldn't come overseas. Yeah. Right? Like you hear the craziest stories. And it really does like emphasize the fact that like international competition, I wish I could have just to be a fly on the wall in those arenas in the 70s. And we just miss out on that now because the NHL has for the last couple of years been too stubborn to let all these players participate. So we just end up with crappy teams headed by like 40-year-old and been out of the league for 3 years players, right?
Yeah, it's not a fun watch. Like I don't remember what the last Olympics. I guess it would have been like either 2018, 2022, whatever it was. But I think it was 2018 was the first one where they didn't have NHL players, and I just remember like Canada playing Germany, and I think they lost to Germany because there was just all these amateur players that nobody knows, or had known at one point, but again,
because it doesn't even have it doesn't even have like the pull of the juniors, where a lot of people I know really love to watch the junior games, even over NHL games. Like I know my dad specifically, I've had this conversation with him, where he actually prefers junior hockey over anything else because of how action-packed it is. Like it's all of these players who all think they're Sidney Crosby, who go out there and play like Sidney Crosby. Like when you watch juniors, it's almost like they're all more skilled because they're all less skilled in a weird way. And you do not get that same pull with the Olympics. Like you just they're less skilled and they look less skilled. Like it's just boring. It's boring hockey, like for the most part. Like I can't remember.
It is, and it's like you like you said, they're less skilled because they are less skilled, and that makes it just like feel so much less. It's like this is not Canada. This is not Canada's hockey team, and we know this is
the best hockey team that
team.
Canada could assemble.
This is Canada's B team or even C team, right? Canada could assemble multiple full rosters before they got to these guys.
Hell, like that's Sweden could, Finland could, America can. Like all of these places, Russia, like every one of these teams could assemble better teams. Well, I guess KHL helps Russia out, but like there's just so many levels to it that I think we just don't get to see anymore. And it's so disappointing, especially in a world where we live in an era at this moment where Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid play in the same NHL, and the fact that we haven't yet seen them on the same line in an Olympics or World Cup is an absolute travesty. And that is if we're
running out of chances.
We absolutely are. If Crosby retires before 2026 or 2027, which is not unrealistic, by the way. Crosby is on his last legs. Like, that would be, imagine how pissed everyone will be at the league. Because that is an absolute disappointment. Like, we got to see, I think, Gretzky and Gordie Howe on the same ice for...
And Lemieux.
And Lemieux. No, not quite Lemieux.
Didn't we get we got Gretzky and Lemieux.
Maybe for that. Or Gretzky and Lemieux, yes. Gretzky and Lemieux, yes. But I thought you were saying all three. All three didn't happen.
Oh no, not all three. Not all three. But Gretzky and Lemieux played.
Yes, Gretzky and Lemieux had quite a bit of overlap. Yeah, because Lemieux came in the league in '84, I believe.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it was the Canada Cup. It was their famous goal.
Their famous goal. Do you know the story behind that famous goal? This is a complete tangent, but it's one of the funniest Gretzky stories ever, in my opinion. This is straight out of his book, and it's been a while since I've read it. I should go back and read it again because it's a super good read. I have it behind me. 99. It's literally just called 99. I think
I have read that book.
It's a really good book. Or maybe I've read a different Gretzky book that was actually published, I believe, before his career ended. So I think it was the 90s. So it focused mostly on his Oilers career and like early Kings, which I think is what the story's from. So maybe I'm misremembering. That book's really good as well though, because that one focuses on his later career and the injuries he dealt with, which a lot of people don't talk about. But I nearly made a video essay a while back because I wanted to and put it on YouTube just because I wanted to get it out there, because I think that's such a good story that nobody talks about, how Gretzky's career kind of came to an early end. Like Gretzky honestly might be one of the biggest what ifs in hockey, and that is a crazy statement. Gretzky easily could have played another couple of years if he had not gotten hurt, and that is nuts to think about, right? Especially considering what he accomplished already. Like it's one of those things. But anyway, that's a tangent in a tangent. The story behind it is the almost identical play to what happened in that famous goal between Gretzky and Lemieux happened earlier in the tournament. And this is a young Lemieux, right? Where he got the chance to play on the line with the best player in hockey, obviously nervous. And Gretzky passed it to Lemieux. Lemieux passed it back. Gretzky missed the shot. They get to the bench, and Gretzky apparently ripped Lemieux a new one. So basically saying that he basically told Lemieux that he has the best shot he has ever seen on a hockey player. If you ever pass to me again, I will make sure you are off this team. Do not put that puck in my hands if you have the chance to shoot. And Lemieux did not make that mistake twice. Obviously, as you saw from that very famous goal. And I think from what I've heard, that was a very important point in Lemieux's career. And after that, he went on to be one of the greatest scorers ever, if not the best, behind only Alex Ovechkin. But again, read Gretzky's books. They're so good. Like, you cannot miss with those Gretzky books. Like, there's some of he has some. They don't have the same pull as because a lot of to break down what I have on my shelf behind me, I have Kobe, and then I have Jeremy Roenick, and I always feel bad, Clint Malarchuk, yeah, and I'd say the pull, especially of the Roenick and Malarchuk books, are more the crazy stories and experiences that they go through. And while I wouldn't say the same for Gretzky's, I think just he still has a very interesting point of view with a lot of the things in the 80s, and it's just a very interesting book. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, Simon Sheskovsky, book nerd. Bet you didn't see that one coming. Anyway, yeah, bring international hockey back. Stop complaining, you assholes.
Yeah. Even the small portion will be good. Maybe we get some sort of cool classic moment out of it.
Imagine
been too long.
Canada versus USA in the finals of this thing. Are you telling me that wouldn't be sick, even if it's only one game?
Yeah.
I'm tuning in. Are you not?
Of course.
Who would not show up for that? That'd be so cool. Just put one game. Don't screw the tourney. Put one Canada versus USA for charity. I would watch the shit out of that. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Obviously the World Cup will be better, and I think that's still I think that's the wrong thing to focus on. We're getting international hockey with the best in hockey. Take it or leave it.
That's what's important.
Yeah, that's the important thing. This is a step in the right direction to potentially get back to the place that hockey was pre 2000s. And I think that's so important for this sport, because it's something that I'd say that out of all the other big leagues in the world, soccer is the only other sport that really has it. Baseball in some recent years, but it's the only real sport that has that edge to it that's so good.
In the international scene, and it also provides bringing international hockey back to the same level gives people in other countries a chance to grow the game. It grows the game more, because then they actually see the best players play against their country.
Yeah, if
right?
I had to watch, I'm trying to think of an example at this point, like because I remember seeing the rosters from the last Olympics, and I was like, oh my god, like on a top
They have
line,
like,
they like
is it like
name
one of
a
the
fourth liner from 2017, and they were probably on the recent Olympic Canada team.
was it like I feel like one of the Stahl brothers in his
Yeah,
like
yeah,
age
yeah,
42
yeah, yeah.
season.
Eric Stahl, that's the name. That's a good example though. That's like an example of a good player. Wasn't Yakupov?
Yeah, that was the best player on the.
Wasn't
Did
Yakupov
Yakupov?
on
There's
one of
no
them?
way Yakupov made it. There's no way Yakupov made it. Let's see.
What's Yakupov's nationality? Is he?
I don't. He's not Canadian.
He's not Canadian, but I don't know what is he. He's not Russian, is he? He's obviously got a
I
bit
think
of
he
a
might
Russian
be.
name,
I
but
think he might be.
for some reason, I thought. It
Okay,
wasn't Russian.
like the only thing that makes this Canadian team very good, yeah, Eric Stahl was the
Oh, he is
captain.
Russian.
The only thing that makes them kind of good is the young players that they had, like Devin Levi in goal. They had Owen Power. They had Mason McTavish. The rest of it is like, yeah, fourth liners or guys who have been in the league, like Daniel Winnick, David Desharnais. Like,
Yeah, those are
You're not-
great
you're not
examples
good.
of people who would not be in the NHL. Like, I don't know. It's lame. It sucks. Bring back the international hockey that I watched growing up. Like,
Yeah.
God. Like, do you, like, especially here in Calgary, I can say that I've had, I think a lot of Flames fans' favorite bit of trivia for anybody who's not a Flames fan, because every Flames fan already knows this. Who passed to Crosby on the golden goal?
Oh well, everybody knows that.
Well,
Iginla, obviously.
yeah, again, yeah, you say that as somebody who grew up in Calgary, but like it's something that a lot of people here really are proud of because it's one of those things where that's our guy. He did that, right? Like it's like, and I think that's something that's so lost now, and it just sucks. Like I can't wait for that to be back.
Yeah, even if we have to wait a little bit longer.
I'll wait 10 years for if that's what it takes. 75-year-old grumpy
Already
Simon
had-
yelling at the wind will still want to watch all these. Will still want to watch international hockey.